All right, bang, bang. Today is Wednesday, October 30th, Chicago Dog Walk. Guest of the day is a long time coming. You hear me talk about it a lot on this show. It is Jim from JP Grazianos. Jim, how are you?
What's up, Ed? How you doing, buddy?
Doing good, man. It's great to have you. Like I said, it's been a long time coming. The people are very familiar with you at this point.
I know they are, and they kind of come out in droves online in the store, and we're happy to be a part of the Barstool family here.
Yeah, for sure. But before we do get to that, I do want to talk about this Sunday. We're going to be at Buffalo Wild Wings in Schaumburg. You know, not too far from where you're from, right, Jim?
Yeah, about halfway point.
We'll be at the Buffalo Wild Wings in Schaumburg. We are going to be with Miller Lite there. So, yeah, we play the Eagles at noon. Come on out, watch the game. It's at 1430 North Meacham Road. Miller Lite, obviously, brewed in 1975, the first light beer that didn't compromise on taste. They've been doing it ever since. Miller Lite is the original light beer brewed to have more taste and only 96 calories. I mean, we're trudging through. I've been saying this every week. I wish it'd be nice if we were like 6-1, you know what I mean? But it is what it is.
That even if they would just look better on what they're doing, it just looks so far away from what it was last year. I know I'm down about it. Everybody I talk to is down about it. We need something. So hopefully we catch a spark, but I don't know, man. Looks like a pretty big mountain to climb at this point.
Yeah, but you're not going to not watch the game.
I'm never not going to watch
exactly.
the game. We're upset because we care.
Yes.
That's the thing.
Correct.
So thankfully I haven't thrown my remote through the TV at this point. But Bears through and through forever. But come on, guys. Stop messing around here.
Get it together. Yeah, so we'll be out there. So no better way to watch the game than with us at Buffalo Wild Wings with Miller Lite. So, Jim, JP Grazianos. I mean, listen, I try to do my best to tell people how it is, but obviously there's no one better than you. So just kind of tell us, you took over for your father, right?
I did. So I jumped into the business as a full-time career after I graduated college, which, geez, at this point, that's in 2005. And when I came into the business, and even all the time before that, it was started by my great-grandpa in 1937 at where we're at now. So this summer was our 82nd anniversary. And he was an importer wholesale food distributor. And that whole neighborhood was like that. Different ethnicities, fruit and vegetable houses, mom and pop stores, fish houses, butchers, restaurant supply. And when I came in, and started looking at the books for really at the first time in my life, the wholesale wasn't doing well. So I know we needed to, kind of create a stream of revenue or another stream of revenue. And sandwiches to me was just an organic step. I never went to my dad and was like, let's turn this place into a nightclub or let's turn it into a bar, which what the neighborhood is now, it would probably do well, but it wasn't us. So, I said, let's start doing sandwiches in addition to the wholesale, and let's just kind of see how it goes, and just started running with it from there.
But I think that's very relatable. There's a lot of people out there who their father, owned a business, and then the kid comes in, and it must have been a real struggle to try to get your dad to understand what you were going to do, right?
In a way, and my dad let me, he knew what I was made up of, right? So I would never come to him with a wild idea. I had all these ideas, but it wasn't completely out of left field. He trusted me, and he started dragging me down there when I was 9 years old. Yeah, so Saturdays, winter vacation, summer vacation, day off of school. My buddies were going to Norwich Park to play baseball. I was heading down to Randolph Street to load shelves and sweep floors. So very early on, he instilled in me a work ethic and an appreciation for what we have. So that in turn, I grew up and, I wanted to find a way to make the business work with staying true to what we are. I also had a different perspective of before we started the sandwiches and we just did wholesale, I was the salesman on the street. And we would go, we saw every single customer of ours. It was never call you, do you need anything this week? Go see every single customer, had a personal relationship with them. I mean, we've been selling to these guys 20, 30, 40 years, maybe more, all, mostly family-owned businesses. And I saw a lot of multi-generational businesses. So at the time, I had no idea, but I was getting, an education right in front of me and kind of pick and choose. I really like what they're doing. I would never do something like that. And the multi-generational family business usually is the first guy starts it from nothing, builds it to a point. Second generation absolutely runs with it. And third generation is the guy that kind of comes along and it's well, things are going really well. I never had to like break my ass real hard for this. And they kind of live on Easy Street. And that's usually where it kind of crumbles. So I was always very determined, especially when I made the decision to go full bore as a career. I'm not going to let this happen.
Yeah, you were conscious of that, which is very important.
Very conscious of it. And, like 82 years, man, like I'm very proud of it. But when I say that to people, like in the back of my head, I'm like, all I hear is like, don't mess it up, kid.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No.
So
I
you
got
feel the pressure as well.
I got you. That's, very relatable too. Just in a sense, I guess not, but when I was in a frat, the big thing was you never want to be the president when you get kicked off campus.
Right.
So that's like, you just don't want to be the one to let, the emperor, fall. So that's, I know completely what you're talking about. But was it, a big part is you were salesman, but a big part of what, JP Grazianos is it's not just an awesome sandwich. It's walking in there and seeing your mom. It's walking in there, seeing your sister. And it's all you guys and just the old school, the rustic, the old, what is it, a vault in there?
It's a safety. It's a, what is it, Ed?
It's like a, wherever you hold the money, whatever. But that's the big thing about it is that it's crazy to think that almost,
it's a safe.
Yes,
Jesus.
Yeah.
It's a safe.
It's crazy that people almost didn't, kind of see that aspect, right? Like you just would have been a wholesale place.
It would have been, and to me, that's what separates us from a lot of places. It's a full experience.
Yeah.
Sandwiches isn't rocket science, man. I didn't invent something that no one's ever done. Even like the combinations of stuff. I mean, it's fairly common, right? But the most important thing is make sure it's fresh, right? Slice everything fresh to order. Use the best products that you can. And then the added things that we naturally have is, we're in a 120-year-old building. The business has been there for 82 years. Obviously, very active in the family-run aspect of it. You order from me or my sister when you walk in. You pay our mom at the window. You sit down in this old-school building, and everything's the most important things to me. I haven't touched. The bricks are real. The beams are real. All the things in our store have been around in our family for a very long time, whether it be the safe or the old cheese cutters, and it's just real, man. People want real,
and
I don't care what business you're in.
Yeah.
People want authenticity, integrity. That is the cornerstone of our business handed down to me. I think then you can make whatever product you sell incidental to the success.
Yeah. And I think a big part of it, what's interesting too, is you've been there forever in an area that the West Loop wasn't the West Loop as you know it now.
Yeah.
Like not even close. And I know, there's different theories on this, but to give some background for people who aren't from Chicago, the West Loop was where Oprah Studios were. And that's kind of what popularized it a little bit. Is that safe to say?
I don't say that. A lot of people will. I mean, it was definitely a huge name, right? Mm-hmm. But no knock against Oprah, but Oprah wasn't like, going into these business and stuff like that. Like, there was people that went to the Oprah show and hightailed out of there.
Yeah.
She didn't like draw people to shop at the places and stuff like that. The neighborhood was, it's funny as you say West Loop because people call it West Loop or Fulton Market. And, so somebody asked me one time, well, what did they call it before all of that? I'm like, they called it the ghetto. Yeah. Like this wasn't a place that if you didn't have a business or a pizza place or a restaurant or a grocery store or were supplying those places, there was no reason to go down at Randolph Street, especially at night. It was a seedy area, man. Mm-hmm. I saw a lot of my first things growing up at a young age down in that neighborhood. So it could not be more different. What I'm always happy to say, though, is all the new spots that have come in, whether it's a huge chef like Stephanie Izard or any of the huge restaurant groups, One-Off Hospitality, Hog Salt, there's a ton of them. The feeling and the sense of community, and we're all in this together, that never left. Mm-hmm. Back in the day, being an importer of Italian specialty foods and stuff like that, you needed the fruit and vegetable guy across the street to do well, and the fish house to do well, and the butchers to do well, and the restaurant supply. It was a very symbiotic relationship. Somebody can come down, they'd own a restaurant, grocery store, whatever it was, or even a family that would buy in bulk. They can get everything that they need within a few block radius. So when the guy across the street was doing well and down the block was doing well, you were doing well, the whole neighborhood was rolling.
Yeah.
When I started to get all new neighbors, and I'm telling you, all new neighbors, you get a little trepidation of like, man, is this going to turn into Disneyland down here? And just, and aspects of it kind of has. It's really kind of gotten off the rails. There's no more market down there. But the heart, I will happily say that has really never left.
Still the same.
And I know I can call up any of those people if I'm in a bind, and they can call me, and you have each other's backs. And that to me is the most important. That's why to me this isn't going to be like a flash in a pan. Randolph Street comes and goes and it's gone. Eventually it will hit a ceiling, but it's going to be a pretty high ceiling, and it could ride out. It's going to sustain it for sure.
Do you know about how many people stuck around with you guys? Like, I mean,
There's a business down the block from us, Pastorelli. They make red wine vinegar, tomato products. I use their vinegar on my sandwiches. They've been in business 10 years longer than us. They just celebrated 92 years there.
Wow.
Besides them, there's nobody who's been down there for more than 10, 15 years at this point.
It's crazy.
It's crazy, man.
So I got to imagine, like, how many of these hotshot fucking developers have walked in there and been like, hey,
yeah,
name the price. We want the business.
Yeah, all of them. They want the property.
They want the property.
The property. They all have. And I'll sit down and have a cup of coffee with anybody. And it's nice to know, like, where you're at. And if every piece of shit hits the fan one day, you could lean back on the property.
Yeah.
But they know that I've turned the business into what it is now, and it's going really well. And we were also able to. This is a pretty large building, and all the rest of the building that I don't use, that's where we kept our inventory. That was our warehouse. Mm-hmm. And then once I got rid of wholesale, phased that out, 75% of the building became available, and I got to work on getting a tenant in there to create another stream of revenue of something that was handed down to us. So the guys that are, the big shots, I know them all personally. They're really cool with me. They don't bug me. They know what I got going on is going well. And we kind of just have the agreement. They're like, Jimmy, if you ever want to sell and I come in for a sandwich, write a number on the sandwich, throw it in the bag, and I'll know to get a hold of you. But this isn't what we do it for. It's never been like that. It's never like build it as big as you can just to cash it out.
Yeah.
It's family legacy.
Yeah, it means more to you.
Way more.
Yes, it means a lot more to you, and I think that definitely people understand that. So, I mean, I can't even talk enough about just walking in there, just a back window where the office is and where your mom's is. It's just so cool. It's just a cool place that, like, like the sandwich absolutely stands on its own. If you want to move that to, a little shack in, Harwood Heights, it'll be there. You know what I mean? But it's just, Norris, whatever, it's there. But, what about like the meat though? I do want to get into the meat. Like what is it to you that everyone does something different? Like how did you know? Like is someone in Italy kind of scouting stuff out? Like how did your
there's honestly there's only one meat that you can import from Italy, and that's prosciutto.
Okay.
And that's because of how long it's aged. So, to get technical, FDA regulations here and like in Europe are worlds apart. So you can't import dry cured meat besides prosciutto because it's aged for over 735 days. We're purveyors. Our family business, our history is going to get the best stuff. So Volpe, St. Louis. You ever been in St. Louis on the Hill? It's like a huge conglomerate of Italians. Volpe is a brand name. They've been there for over 100 years. They make the absolute best of the best salami. Margherita is a huge brand. Being a wholesale distributor back in the day, knowing how to source and where to get the best of the best has allowed me just to bring it into my own sandwich shop.
Okay.
So, and then it's how it's again, it's not rocket science, but there is ways to treat it properly and how you keep it. And then the most important part is just fly through a ton of volume.
Yeah.
I mean, every single sandwich we do is sliced fresh to order. And it will always be that way no matter how many sandwiches I sell in a day. But that started out because when we first started these sandwiches, bro, if I sold 75 sandwiches in a week, it was a lot. So it was like, well, only slice for this guy because I don't know when the next time I'm going to sell my next sandwich is. Yeah. So it started out for like a very practical reason, and then it turned into this is what people have come to expect from us, and I'm not going to turn back on, pre-slicing stuff, pre-making it, because then it's like, it's salami, it's cold cut stuff. You can get very slimy turkey if you don't go through a lot of volume of it.
Yeah, I think my boss was kind of asking if we had
so.
slimy turkey over here. So,
Yeah.
I
might have heard about that.
That's interesting though, because I've said that on an ad read before, where I was disappointed. I've walked in there before at 4:00. It's like, hey, whatever, and they're like, sorry, we're out of bread, and it's like, come on, I want a sandwich.
Yeah.
But you can appreciate if you like fresh stuff. If you know you want something good, you can appreciate that you're not going to go overboard and buy a million loaves of bread, knowing that it's going to be sitting there.
Right. I mean, I always say, man, no matter how many sandwiches I sell in a day, we're coming back the next day.
Yeah.
It's you don't make it or break it all in one day. And to me, it's just have a long-term view of it. And yeah, it's, the bread is from D'Amato's on Grand Avenue, made fresh every single day. That thing turns into an absolute baseball bat if it sits the following day. There's no using bread the next day.
Really?
Oh yeah.
So every day you're throwing out that bread. I mean, do you? Or
No, we don't throw it out.
How
we go through it.
So have you ever? Do you have it down like a science?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
Some days you might catch an extra 4 or 5 loaves that you didn't go through. My guys will take it home for the day. We'll take it home.
Yeah.
Ma's making breadcrumbs and stuff for the meatballs with it.
Yeah.
There's other things to do for it. You're not throwing away, loads of bread. Obviously, we can track our volume and we know what days we need 110 loaves of bread, what days you start out with only 90.
Yeah.
So you try to run it as close as possible. But yeah, man, if we had if we smoked a day and it's 4:00, 3:30, and we went through 125 loaves of bread, and the guy comes in, and I hate to disappoint people, but we're out of bread.
Yeah,
And
sorry.
9 times out of 10, I'll grab a card, I'll mark it, and I'll say, hey, this will get you a free sandwich next time you come by. And they come back. And then
Yeah.
they're a customer for life, because it's like, and that to me again is like, that's what we do. Right.
Yeah.
Or even if I don't have a card on me, the guy comes back the next day. Hey man, I remember you were in at the end of the day. I was out of bread. Take this one on me. And he's like, really?
Yeah.
And then you have a customer for life. You
And
know what I mean?
Yeah, you're not kidding at all either. Like there was people I remember who just tweeted us here and there. There was like a guy with like a Peter Dinklage avatar. The guy had like 6 followers, and Jim's like, "Oh, Jim's a great guy. He sent me this DM to come in and get a sandwich." Like, yeah, like Peter Dinklage, 6 followers. No problem. It doesn't matter. He wants you there. He wants you to feel a party. The whole business. So. You're not. That's not fabricated whatsoever. But I got to think though, with you, like obviously have taken off so much, and within the last couple, like I don't know how many years, like has it been like really booming?
5.
5.
Yeah.
I got to think. What was like the earliest you ran out? Like, was there a day when you're like, holy shit, I ran out at noon?
Yeah.
Like,
No, there was definitely early on when we didn't have it like down to so much of a science, and it was a very consistent business. I know for sure we like closed up at like 2 or 2:30 one day, and it's a good day. Like you're happy, and you're like, that's awesome, and then you're also like, but I left a lot on the table too,
Yes.
right? So you want to find that sweet spot where you could take care of every single customer that walks through your door. You're not tossing a bunch of stuff at the end of the day. What's that sweet spot? And we're there so much that it's kind of easy to follow and track volume and averages.
But like you said too, we were talking a little bit before this. You said you always kind of have your dad on your shoulder, and he's always telling you, "Don't worry about." What was the quote exactly you said? Hogs get.
Pigs get fed and hogs get slaughtered.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you never want to, kind of worry about that kind of stuff.
Right. I just, and again, it goes back to why we do this, man. It's not just about finding a way to cash out. It's not about, could we sell a ton more sandwiches if we're open Sundays? Yeah. Could we, be open 12 hours a day? Yeah. But the guys that work with me, and obviously my mom and my sister, they all have families, man, and it's careers for these guys, and we don't have shifts. Like the guys that work for me every day that we're open, from when we're open to when we're closed. I want them to have a life outside of this place,
Yeah.
and it's being closed on Sundays. We've never been open on a Sunday. It's family day,
Yeah.
right? And that's just, to me, it's. I just always try to have a marathon view of this. No matter how many sandwiches I sell, man, I'm going to open up the next day, unless it's a Sunday. Yeah. And
Unless a developer gets you.
yeah, you got to come pretty big. I want like one of those Ed McMahon
checks. A huge check. We can write one up. But you know what I do also like, what I really enjoy, what I found to really enjoy are the, I guess the sandwich industry you guys have is you just talked about D'Amato's. I had Vito Two Fingers on one of the first episodes I had of the show.
That was my customer back in the day on Belmont, man.
He owns Nautilus. Is you guys are so positive about each other. There's no, like, you're not at each other's necks. Like, someone did the same thing. Someone tweeted us earlier, like, oh, what about this place or that place? And you're like, yeah, they do a great sausage. They do great whatever.
Yeah.
You guys are just kind of almost stick together here.
here's the thing, man. Automatically people think, and Barry's the one that gets brought up, right? Because they're on Grand Avenue.
Yeah.
They've been doing it forever. Not everybody knows the story that we used to supply Barry, right? I was their salesman. I've known Ralph and Frank since I was 12 years old. And when I had the opportunity to start to do sandwiches, it was because I needed to make a move of make this a sustainable business. And I went and talked to Ralph and Frank before I sold my first sandwich. And I said, guys, listen, this is the opportunity that I have. I don't want you to think I'm like coming after you, step on your I mean, it's Barry, dude. It's no one's knocking them off, right? Yeah. And they said, Jimmy, Chicago's a big city. Go get a piece of it. They were in that position with their dad. They didn't always make sandwiches, right? It was just a deli, the butcher, D'Amato's next door. The city guys would be like, make us a sandwich. The dad would be like, buy what you want from me. Get your bread next door. Make your sandwich in the street. And they'd be like, Dad, we could sell sandwiches, you know? So, but here's the thing. It's all families providing for their families.
Yeah.
I don't need to be everybody's favorite shop in Chicago. I'm blown away with the amount of people that love what we do. I don't get burnt like if somebody's like, oh, Alpine's better, Nautilus, Bari, Fiore's, Conte di Savoia. Dude, the list goes on and on forever. It's what you grew up with, too.
Yeah.
It's what you're loyal to, right? You're a Northwest Side guy. Me, too. I love Alpine sandwiches. Love Alpine sandwiches. You ever been to Alpine?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
They're awesome.
Oh, yeah.
I was there one time 2 years ago, whenever it was. It was on a Sunday, right? We're not open on Sundays. I wanted a sandwich. My daughter wanted a sandwich. And not to sound like this, but somebody like recognized me in there, right? He kept like looking at me, and he got his way over to me. He's like, aren't you Graziano? And I was like, yeah. He's like, the sandwich shop guy? And I was like, yeah. He's like, what are you doing here? And I was like, I'm hungry. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I think, and it's a shared thing with, George, I've known my entire life as well. And his grandpa's he's third generation of what he does. Awesome spot. It's families providing for their families.
Yeah.
I'm never going to get in anybody's way who's trying to take care of their kids.
For sure.
It's a noble reason to do it. I know how hard they break their ass to have what they have, because we do as well. And, if you love Alpine, if you love another spot, awesome. If you're around, if you're on Randolph Street and you're hungry, stop in for a sandwich.
There you go.
You don't have to walk out and be like, this is the most amazing thing and I'll never go anywhere else. You should try it. And if you come in and say something stupid like Potbelly, Jimmy John, then you're on your fucking own, man. Like, that's, you're on your own.
Yeah.
But if you're doing like a family-owned spot, I respect every single one of those guys. I really, really do.
They probably thought you were scouting over there at Alpine. They thought you were trying to get Ed's secret sauce, That's what, because they did that. Dick Portillo actually did catch a shift, I heard, or he like broke into like Gene and Jude's. Like, it's kind of, it's interesting,
I totally believe it.
Listen,
Dick Portillo's an idol of mine. I definitely look up to what that guy was able to accomplish, but it's not, and you're making a sandwich, bro. It's not like there's processes, there's things you do, there's things you don't. Everybody kind of knows what it is. What you do is everybody puts out their best foot, right? And you hope more people like you than dislike you.
For sure.
And you just try and earn it honest, man. That's all it's about.
Can you address the rumors that you rented a spot and you got a new spot coming in the Harlem Irving Plaza food court?
First time I heard of this rumor. It would be a very short commute for me. That's for sure. I guess I'll have to look on Twitter and see if I can find out more about that.
All right, there's rumblings. I'm just saying. We got a lot of rumblings. But I told you before we hopped on the show, I have a proposal here.
All right.
Listen, right down the street from your house, he's from Norwich. I'm right by Jim. There's an awesome ice cream shop that closes in the winter.
Yeah.
Why can't we just open up in the winter there?
Do you remember what was back in the day over there?
I don't, actually.
Okay, so what's the name of an ice cream place?
Sweet Oasis.
Sweet Oasis, of course. My kids absolutely love it. So next to Sweet Oasis, there was Nancy's Bakery. Mm-hmm. And next to that, there was a little grocery store called Nick's. And I believe my love for sandwiches came from, I went to Giles, which is down the block from there. And we had, it's so crazy to think of it now because I don't think anybody does it. There was off-campus lunch. Oh. I'm talking like 6th, 7th, 8th graders.
That's very odd.
I don't know. I'm getting up there. So, but either way, you could leave school and go get lunch. And every single person that I went to school with would go to Nancy's. And it was like kind of like a D'Amato's bready bakery style, Chicago style pizza. And it was a slice for $1. And I was the only one that would go next door, and I'd get a sliced fresh sandwich. And I'd have to drop a couple extra bucks more. But I think that's where my affinity for sandwiches came from. I do live a couple blocks away from there, and don't think that when I've passed there and those spots have been open, it wouldn't be a bad spot for a sandwich shop.
So I'm talking like expand it because I think, listen, the big thing that people say, you know what the worst part about Graziano is? Closed at 5. I could never make it. I'm at work.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Any thoughts? Anything?
I would say, I don't want to come out and say anything definite right now, but I would say going into next year and spring and stuff like that, I think I found an answer for that, and I'd keep your eyes open for being able to have like a Mr. G late at night on a weekend or.
Wow.
Kind of like the Peach Pit after dark. Remember that?
There we go. Listen, I think we might have broke some news right there, but I can't be sure. Nothing confirmed at all. But Jim, thanks for stopping by, man. I know there's some big stuff coming up too for the holidays, right?
Yeah. So like Giardinera, that's the Chicago thing, right? And our Giardinera has been the same family recipe since the 1950s. Started with my grandpa and my Uncle Paul. They had this lady in Cicero who made giardiniera out of her basement, and we sold her the oil and the spices. She would pack it up. We would buy it back and then distribute it in all different types of sizes. So it's gone over some, label changes and name changes and stuff like that over the last couple of years. Going into this holiday season, I'm changing up sizes. So right now we only sell 32-ounce jars of hot and mild giardiniera. We started doing a muffaletta sandwich a couple years ago that's getting very, very popular. So I have 16-ounce jars now. They'll be available in a couple weeks. Hot giardiniera, mild muffaletta mix, and a hot muffaletta mix, all rebranded, new labels. And for the holidays, I got this really cool gift box, JP Graziano, Taste Real Chicago on the outside. 4 spots for 16-ounce jars. Send them out locally, ship them out of state. Awesome Christmas gifts for the holidays and stuff like that. And then they'll be available at the store moving forward after that. But you're going to be able to order them right off the website, deliver, like I said, anything local or out of town. And it was something to me. It's like we needed that staple product, which is real Chicago, real JP Graziano. Add in the muffaletta ones that come really, really popular.
What exactly? A muffaletta mix, though. What exactly is that?
Yeah, so muffaletta is a sandwich, right? It's the most popular out of New Orleans. Central Grocery is the gold standard in New Orleans. It's a sandwich I absolutely love, and I started playing around with making our own. D'Amato's makes the muffaletta bread. I mean, it has to be on round sesame seed bread. And the muffaletta mix is basically, giardiniera is such a Chicago thing. There's variations. Different regions kind of do different variations of it. The one they do in Louisiana for this muffaletta is, at its heart, is giardiniera, but it's diced up, like 1/8-inch diced stuff. So they call it muffaletta spread, olive spread. It's heavy on the olives. When I started doing a muffaletta sandwich, I would only do it like around Mardi Gras, Fat Tuesday, because that's like New Orleans. But I never found a jarred muffaletta spread that I liked. So I would take our mild giardiniera, dice it up, and then I would take the Cerignola olives that we sell, pit those, dice those, get the right ratios so the taste was on point. But it would, I would only offer it as a special for a day or two because it would take one guy a very long time to make a good amount of giardiniera or the muffaletta mix to be able to make all these sandwiches. And then I finally packed up what I did and I sent it to my guys that make our giardiniera, and they sent me a sample back. They hit it on the head. Then I started buying it in 5-gallon buckets. The muffaletta sandwich is on the menu all the time, very popular sandwich. And then a lot of people, because inherently muffaletta is a mild mix, a lot of people started asking for hot giardiniera with it. And I'm a purist. Like, I like when people eat.
Yeah.
Listen, you're going to have your sandwich any way you want when I come to my store. Deep down inside, I kind of just like the original stuff. And I'll tell them, instead of putting hot giardiniera on it or the muffaletta mix and hot giardiniera, let me do a little hot oil from the giardiniera that comes on the Mr. G to the muffaletta mix. You'll get the heat, you get the flavor of the muffaletta mix, and that's when I came up with, why don't we do a hot muffaletta spread?
Nice.
So that's kind of how it's all come about. But
That's great. So I mean, basically, hold off on the Garrett's popcorn this holidays, and let's get a JP Graziano pack. How about that?
I would love to build it to where it's such a staple in Chicago of something like that. It's something I have a lot of pride in. Something I worked really hard on over the last couple months, and. Listen, man, it's going to be a heck of a Christmas gift for people that want to send a taste of real Chicago to somebody local or out of state. That's for sure.
Awesome. Jim, thanks for coming on. Is there anything we didn't get to? Anything that people got to know about?
I think listening to this show, they know where we're at, right? 901, I don't do it as good as you, that's for sure. 901 West Randolph, jpgraziano.com. Come in, man. Try a sandwich if you haven't already. The guys who have, I can't tell you how much we appreciate it. It's so cool to have kind of like the following we had. Naturally, the Barstool guys have really injected that with a lot of excitement and a lot of fresh new faces that come in. There was one guy, you get you say Eddie at the window, you get the extra mark on your card for the free sub sooner. I don't know how you say that so well, but I have a lot of fun with my customers, right? So I was working the register and a guy came up. And he's like, yeah, I'm supposed to mention White Sox Dave. And I looked at him, and dead face, I ripped his card in half. I'm like, what are you talking about? White Sox Dave? This is the dog walk over here. You know what I mean? You got to see. And the guy, I thought he was like, what the fuck are you doing right now? But I gave him a new card. I probably marked it with my initials to get you a free sandwich. But I liked that I could have fun with people like that. Not just Barstool guys. It allows us to just, be who we are naturally. And again, it's Taste Real Chicago is the tagline that I like to use. It's so important for me just to be real.
Yeah.
You don't get it a lot nowadays. I think that's why Barstool works. That's why this show works, Redline Radio. You guys are just who you are.
Yeah.
And that's why people seek out the authenticity. So if you want to taste the real Chicago, old school, how it used to be done with modern conveniences of ordering, a sandwich off of your phone on your way down through our website, that's what I'm there to provide. So
yeah, couldn't have said it better. And I just want to clarify too. Was your mom okay with the FinDom read? I was pretty worried.
My mom laughed her ass off. I had a harder time kind of trying to explain what a FinDom was to my mom on the way home. But when I told her, I'm like, you got to listen to this. Eddie was thinking about you, like, hey, Mrs. G, maybe skip this episode or throw it on pause. Again, man, it's part of the kind of natural approach that you take to it. So she got a real kick out of that. I set her up with podcasts now on her computer at home so she could listen to podcasts. And, you guys are fans of ours. We're fans of yours. Yeah. That's just kind of how we do things.
It's a great match, man. Like I said, in my old job, it was everyone was mad when he went to Grazianos. You didn't tell him. So I'm thrilled that you guys are with us, and it's been a great pair so far. So
I agree, and I look forward to 2020 with you as well, man.
Yeah, 2020, possibly some late night. We'll see.
Let's see. Keep your eyes open.
Wink, wink, none judge. All right, that's it for today, everybody. We will catch you next time.